And we're back.
Hello, hello, hello. You're back. How are you,
What's
Zach?
going on? I am good. How is it in what time is it where you're at right now?
It's 10 p.m.
10 p.m. It's 1 p.m. for me. I'm just starting my day.
Oh my.
It's gotta be weird going to California all the way out there. It's like what, 13-hour difference?
It's straight AM PM flip for
Oh
me.
wow, that's
Yeah,
gotta
it's
be
a
weird.
12-hour difference. Oh, no red.
Yeah,
Ooh,
no red
you know
today.
what?
Yeah.
My oversight. Sorry about that. Well, I'll tell you what. There's a little bit of red in my shirt, so
Yeah. I got
we'll
none.
take that.
I'm a veteran though, so I don't have to wear
Yeah.
red.
Anyway, um, I'm exhausted.
I'm
I've
sure
had
you
a
are.
grueling week. I've been operating on both time zones, US and Gulf, and yeah, it's been a bit insane. Could probably tell from my face, you know. But I head back day after tomorrow, and then we'll be back on US time. So I'm excited today. I don't have all the usual preparation of slides and all that today, so I'm kind of winging it a little bit, just because my priority has been to make maximum use of the time here, to meet with investor prospects, and also curators, galleries, etc. So yeah, all right. So that's basically the lay of the land. So today, what I'd like to do is give you an update on what has transpired here in the past few days since I arrived here, and talk a little bit about what is coming up, and also give a sense of what kinds of questions I'm getting from investors, because I think that's important for people to understand, how investors are viewing the deal, especially sophisticated investors who are looking, to invest sizable amounts of money. They're going to look at the deal very, very carefully and do their due diligence. And so there's a lot of questions, and I'm going to spend time telling you a little bit about them. But what is up with you?
Just manning the ship while you're away. Making sure everything is going as expected, getting some organization. We're about once this is over, we're all of our stuff's about to scale, so we have to have a solid structure in order to do that. So working with the team to get it where our comms are up and everyone's seeing each other's messages, so we can go instead of like stop and inform each other. So just a lot of good housekeeping, yeah, I guess you could say, and a little bit of a light. It's the holidays, so I'm about to go home, see the family for holidays. My mom makes a huge deal out of Christmas. She was just chirping at me before I jumped on here. When are you coming home? When are you going to see? Because I haven't seen them in like 6 months, so they are chomping at the bit to see me, and I'm excited. I'm excited to take some time off.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good to be home. My apologies to Gus. I did not bring my mug along with me, so I'm using a plain white boring mug here. But I do have my chai, so there's that. All right, let's just get going. So the highlight of my week, of course, was the investor event we had. You've seen videos, photos, etc. of it. It was really, really what I would consider a very, very successful event, given the time we had to pull it off. So we had about 80 RSVPs, of which 60 turned up, which is actually pretty decent and pretty high. Um, the way we had set it up is we had given the time duration of around 4 hours, so people could come and go as they please. So there was not sort of a congregation at one point. People, according to the schedule, given that this is the time when there's a lot of office parties and things like that going on with the holidays. People came and went as they pleased, and so. Yeah, so I spent a fair bit of time talking one-on-one with investors there, and also did a pitch to around 40 investors at once. I got a whole lot of Telegram new contacts, because most people use Telegram. Most of the investors, sort of use Telegram. So in general, what we had, I would say, is a 75-25 split, where 75% were angels / super angels, and 25% were institutional investors. So in the past few days, I've been following up, and whoever is able to give some time to have a meeting, I've been taking those meetings. The challenge is that a lot of people are not taking meetings right now because of the holidays, and that's fine, because the important thing is to meet them in person once, and then do follow-up calls. It will probably be, based on my prior experience, about 2, maybe 3 Zoom calls, meetings, and they're not like necessarily very long. But for example, typically the larger the amount they're investing, the more people have to be involved in the deal, and also there's to be a technical due diligence. So I'm used to doing a follow-on call with like a technical person who asks all kinds of technical questions, because it is software, it is technology, right? So we got a lot of those kind of questions. I've kind of tried to educate the community before about the process, but I think it'll be helpful to kind of go through it one more time. I mean, basically, what we're looking at here is raising capital from professional investors, institutional investors, angels, etc. And so the process requires, first of all, a warm contact. So in other words, you don't send your business plan out to someone and hope they'll get back to you. That doesn't work ever.
No,
So this is why this is important, because they get to kind of meet you, etc. And they're pre-qualified, right? Everyone's pre-qualified, so they get a chance to meet you, do the quick pitch to them. So I have the pitch I do pretty much down pat now. Do the pitch, get some preliminary answers, but it isn't conducive in a networking event scenario to go too much into detail. You're not trying to sell, you're just trying to get the next meeting. That's the objective of that, and that has been completed now. So now we've got next meetings starting to get scheduled. We actually already sent out an email follow-up to all the attendees with links to my calendar, etc., so people can start taking slots themselves. But most of the time, they require a second outreach where we can contact them and get on their schedule and things like that. So we do that, and then with the second call, it's usually the investor and maybe a couple of their partners, etc., who are on, and we do the pitch again. This time, getting more refined questions and things like that. And then they go back and think about the deal, and if they are interested, then we do another call and we talk more about the deal terms, etc. So we talk about valuation, the size of the deal and things like that. And if contemporaneously, we also do a technical due diligence. So maybe a secondary call with someone technical who asks all kinds of questions, and boom, you get to that, you get past that, and then it's a matter of just closing the deal. So at that point, it becomes primarily logistics, sending out a DocuSign, they sign it, they send some, they send it back, I sign it, and then the next step is a deposit of funds, etc. So the model we are talking about here is the standard model. It follows what's called a Saft, a simple agreement for future tokens. So we have the boosters, we have the super boosters, and anyone wishes to grab those will. But the most investors, they prefer the straight and narrow path where they do what they're used to doing. They prefer straight up tokens with a Saft agreement that has deal terms and things like that all laid out. So we've created a Saft agreement, and we have that, and we are now sharing that with folks. In the Saft, the key things, the most important thing is the pre-money valuation. So the valuation determines exactly what price point folks come in on. And so the big challenge right now, and I'll be very honest with you, it's one that's been a bit difficult for me to manage, is the fact that compared to, so there was one issue, let me back up a little bit. There was one issue, first of all, with the cap table not being sort of standard, and we addressed that, right? So that is now okay. But now the new problem is, and I wouldn't say it's a problem necessary, but it is a point of friction, if you will, is the valuation. Our valuation is pretty high. It's 60 million circulating supply, fully diluted, multiplied by $1.50, which is what we are doing right now. That's, do the math, $90 million, right? So when you do $90 million pre-money, people ask lots more questions because it's way higher than the 20 or 25 million which they're used to seeing for a deal at this stage. Now, the numbers are high for various reasons, which we all know. It's because, the project has been through some complex background, etc., and due to that, those numbers have been arrived at. But the important thing for investors to look at is what's the team, what's the vision, the business plan, and what's the traction. So I've always hinted this, that unless we have traction, it's pretty pointless to go to investors, because they're like, well, come back, when you've got some. And this is why what we just achieved the last week was a very, very, very important milestone. We got those 1,000 artists approximately onboarded, and we are going through the genesis, etc. That shows tremendous progress. Now I know that majority of people kind of watching this, they only care about the one thing is when is the coin airdrop, etc., going to happen. But you have to look at it from an investor's perspective. That kind of stuff is irrelevant. It's going to happen at some point. They know that. What they focus on is, okay, you've got a 90 million pre-money valuation for a business plan. How are you executing on that business plan? So this is where VTRU Studio and our progress we've made on there, the fact that we are going to launch it here in the next couple of days. Actually, I was looking at a demo of it earlier today. It looks pretty good. So we're going to start onboarding the artists. That stuff is way more significant. I get zero questions, literally zero questions about when will the airdrop happen, etc. So just about all the dominant questions that we have in our Discord never show up, are not a factor in conversations with investors. The questions are more in the line of, okay, what's the team composed of? What are their backgrounds? What's the business plan? Who's the customer? What does the market look like? How large is the market? How fast is it growing? Who are the top competitors in there? How will you create a barrier to entry for others? What is your competitive unique advantage? These are the business type of questions that I have to answer. I don't get any questions about, what is the launch price going to be, etc., because those people know the market figures that out, And the most important thing is, if you've got a solid, viable business and you've got all the elements that you claim are in your business plan are going to work, then they have proof that, okay, you've done everything you've said you would to this point in your business plan. So there's good reason to believe you will continue on that trajectory, right? And so that's what kind of we focus quite a bit on. So like for example, people ask the question like, okay, so why are the artists going to leave Ethereum and come to you? Why are they going to leave Tezos and come to you? Or how are you going to get artists who just don't like Web3? What are you going to do about them? So and then questions around music and movies, like, because we talk about that quite a bit, that we're going to add those. So the conversations with investors really are totally different from what people, I think, believe. They are more about our business plan, because they read the business plan and they see what we are talking about there. And it's not so much about the minutiae of the current kind of month. What's going to happen this month? When am I going to get my coins, etc.? So, because these are investors with a longer viewpoint, they put larger amounts of money, but they are in it for the longer haul, and to see this business become, a very successful unicorn. That's what they want to see and hear and see the evidence of. And so that's what we do. So so far we've provided pretty compelling evidence that we are on the right trajectory. Because the one thing that people love hearing is when I talk about trust, because people are familiar with it. People understand Web3. They see all the scams, etc. And so when we talk to them about the fact that our protocol is essentially building a foundation of trust in the Web3 art space, they like to hear that. And so the follow-up question then becomes, well, how? And so then we get into standards, because it's all about standards. So we have the know your creator, the zero knowledge know your creator. That's important. We want to keep anonymity and undoxed creators. Then we get into metadata standards like linked art, which is used by Louvre, MoMA, etc. Then we talk about the content authenticity initiative, which allows us to sign the media files, etc., to prove the authenticity of them by a creator. Next, we have the on-chain licensing. Now, I actually was in the studio today with Jamelia because she has a podcast called Barely Legal. And it was fun. She basically interviewed me, and we talked a lot about sort of the Vitruveo kind of business model, etc. And one thing that is really interesting from a legal standpoint is we'll be the first protocol that is tokenizing licenses. This does not exist anywhere. So on-chain tokenized licenses with royalty protections built in is a thing that does not exist, and that is a very innovative thing that we are doing. So I get a lot of questions about that also, because people are not used to this in the NFT world at all. You click on the button, buy, you're done. You have the artist doesn't tell you what rights you have, and as a buyer, you have no idea what rights you have. But the problems occur when you unwittingly use the artwork for something you thought you were allowed to, but no, you weren't allowed to, because there's no clear communication of intent through a legal agreement, a legal license, right? So we are doing that, and that is transformative in this industry, and that is what is going to help engender a lot of trust, especially among artists who sell works at $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 each. They want to make sure that their rights are protected. And then when we talk about elastic editions, that is a game changer. And this is when artists pay attention, because right now artists struggle quite a bit with having to make a decision on whether to list as a single edition, a one of one, or a one of many. And what we do is we provide a very innovative solution where artist doesn't have to decide. The buyer decides by virtue of how many editions they want to buy. It uniquely transforms the edition size dynamically into elastic editions. So anyway, I bring all of this up because we have a defensible business plan, is my point, is that we've thought through a number of pain points. We've got the clear solutions to them, and we are achieving them. We are building them. So in the alpha of VTRU Studio, which Fur is traveling today, so maybe what we'll do is we'll do another download here after I get back and she's not traveling, like right after Christmas, and we'll do a demo of VTRU Studio, and you'll see that the team has done a fantastic job of making it really, really sort of enterprise-grade software, but also intuitive and easy. So the first 1,000 artists here can onboard their software, their artwork very easily. So with the implementation of VTRU Studio, you're starting to see things like the on-chain licensing I just talked about, the metadata, etc. But it's a two-step process. We are first doing it sort of in the Web 2 way, where you upload the artworks and things like that, and then you go on-chain. So there with VTRU Studio, I'm not sure how many people in Discord saw it, but I did publish our size guide, which is the first in the industry. So actually, let me share my screen and kind of show that to you guys, because it's pretty novel. I unfortunately don't have multiple screens here, so that makes it a bit challenging to share screens. So we'll probably see a mirror here for a second. I'll try to get rid of it quickly. Okay, here we go. Zach, are you seeing my screen?
I am.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I want to hint a little bit about the innovative things we're doing. So we published this artwork size guide. Now, nothing like this exists in the industry at all. And in this guide, and I'm not going to go through all the slides. The link is actually in the Discord minor updates if anyone wants to look at it. I want to share some of the highlights of what we're doing here. In the world of NFT art right now, there is just chaos. Like anyone can upload anything of any size, any resolution, etc. And that is disservice to customers. Think about the era of mobile phones prior to the advent of the iPhone, where it was just all over the place, like every form factor imaginable, keyboards, buttons. There was no standard or anything like that. But what we are doing here is we are creating standards, and we're making it possible for people. We're helping artists understand things like aspect ratio. The importance of having your artworks conform to the digital displays and the canvas frames that they're likely to be printed on or displayed on. So when artists create things of any size, etc., there's two things that happen, and neither of them are good. One is when they're displayed, the artwork is cropped, which is terrible because some important aspect of your artwork might just be invisible. Or you see black bars, which is also not desirable. So, and then it comes to resolution. When you want to print something, you need a higher resolution. You need 300 pixels per inch, or DPI, depending on what you want to call it. But on screen, we use 72 DPI. So how can we enable artists to understand that their work needs to be at a higher resolution so that it is available for printing? Then it comes to orientation. We are starting to do some surveys and get some data on how most people hang their panels. So these display panels, this new generation of display panels that are coming up, do people hang them landscape or portrait, or are they square? Like WHIM, WHIM, has devices that are square, right? So we want artists to make a lot of money, because when artists make a lot of money, Vitru, the cryptocurrency is used, and that elevates, essentially increases its value, and therefore the price of it. So we want that in volume. And so we want artists to create artwork that is more conformant with what people use, without sort of requiring anything, because artists should have their freedom to create as they wish, right? So what we've done now is come up with standard dimensions for things, and and also file formats. So what are the different file formats we support? So for images, these are the file formats we support. For videos, audio, 3D objects, because we'll be supporting 3D objects also. We'll support documents. So if someone wants to publish, I don't know, a story in doc format, right, as a PDF, then we would accept that. And lastly, we are also going to enable interactive artworks. So this is future thinking right now. We're able to upload an entire zip which has all the JavaScript code, the CSS, the HTML, etc., to render a very interactive kind of artwork that maybe changes according to the weather or the time of day or some other external stimulus, and create very dynamic artworks. And then what we provide here is a set of required files and what dimensions they have to be, and we give them an idea of how they should size things. So I bring this up. Because I think it's oh wow, mirror effect big time. Ooh. Stop that.
First a sip of chai.
Yeah. So I bring this up because it's important for people to see that the most important thing we have got going on here is our business plan, and to build according to that, to build something really robust so that we can onboard creators at scale. We don't want to onboard 10,000 or 100,000. We want to get millions of creators on this protocol so that it becomes the global standard for creators eventually. Yeah. So these are the kinds of questions I'm getting from investors and answering them. So I've had a few second calls with investors, etc. And I can just say with a very high degree of confidence that in the month of January, we'll be able to close on a lot of these deals and significantly move the needle on our funding, and most likely meet or potentially even exceed our goal. I'm very confident of that based on the feedback I'm getting from the early investors and the networking we are doing. So it's not just the investors we meet, right? Anytime this is par for the course in fundraising. anytime an angel especially invests, they're going to refer their friends. And a lot of people basically follow one lead angel. Like they follow, like, okay, you invested, I trust you, so I'm going to invest there. So there's going to be a lot of follow-on capital like that. So January is going to be an extremely busy month for us because we are getting all these artists onboarded, etc. But then we're also closing on all these on all these deals. So, but I just will leave no room for doubt here. We are able to. I feel confident at this point that we will hit our goal. So the only thing is that meetings, scheduling, getting on people's calendars, etc., is not a snap thing. They're not waiting around for us, right? So that is the challenge. So it's a little time consuming process, and it doesn't neatly fit our desire to be at certain dates, etc. But in terms of reaching our goal, no doubt at all, none whatsoever at this point, especially after having met with so many investors. Okay, so that's that. Let's see what I wanted to. I wanted to also talk a little bit about. I see some folks had questions about boosters and how long we would keep them going, etc. So here's the thing. As I seem like it's pretty obvious from the conversations I have that most of the investors we're talking to that are professional investors are going to gravitate towards the Saft, the Saft agreement, where we negotiate terms with them, and based on the deal size, we give them discounts and things like that. That's standard. That's how it works. But at the same time, we are not going to give up on the marketing initiatives we have planned. And look, a lot of the marketing initiatives we have to basically put on hold right now because things don't happen during the holidays. It's just people are in a different mindset. They are off work, etc. They're not looking to invest, etc. So we'll trigger some of those campaigns, etc., and we would still be able to get what I would call retail investors directly. So I think we'll keep the boosters going for a while longer. But yes, eventually we'll get to a point where we will close it off and focus more on there, because it doesn't require any additional work or anything like that, right? It's just a web page that keeps on going, and just make sure that the booster NFTs are delivered, which we now have automated, by the way. It was initially a manual process, but is now event driven, and so it's automated. So let's see. So we won't be closing the boosters. We won't be changing or taking away any incentives or anything that is given there. The Saft agreements will have tokens that are all coming from the treasury, and that's it. So it doesn't impact anybody in any way. All right. So I think that was my quick high-level update. As I said, I'm a little bit out of it here because I've just been burning the candle at both ends here for a bit. So what we can do now is start taking some questions, and I'll commit to getting back to the US this weekend, and then doing another one of these even before Friday, with a little more show and tell, as we usually do, and more details and things like that. So once I've had a chance to get back to the US. All right. So let's see. You got any questions?
There's not too many. Just starred one.
Okay, it's please. All right. Okay, so this says, please explain why you're only giving 2% perpetual revenue share to boosters who only invest 500K when OG sacrificers paid tens of millions to get this built and launched. Not equitable or fair. It's a reasonable question. I don't have a good answer for it because of the fact that we actually did a complete project reset at the end of July, and the tens of millions are not something that are available to us right now. And I understand how people feel about that, but we're talking about a reset project, and so everything is based upon the reset landscape. So I understand it may not be fair, but it certainly is equitable because of the fact that we are asking folks who are stepping up now, and they're getting sort of a reward based on the commitment now. Cannot speak for the past. Let's see here. What we got?
Is it possible to upscale
Is it-
features for low-res artworks for people who can't upscale their own work, but for future advancements in screen resolutions?
Yeah, this is a good. So we probably might do that with AI. With that, because I understand fully well that sometimes the devices are the constraint. Like your device is incapable of handling export, or you initially scanned it at a lower resolution and now you don't have an ability to go back and rescan it, etc. So I'd say two things. One is the basic display requirement is not that high. It's UHD 3840 by 2160 pixels, which is basically 4K. So the higher resolution is needed, like 4 times that, for when we want to go to print. So it might just be that you don't offer those artworks for print. Don't create. So we have the ability for an artist to decide which licenses they want to offer. They can offer an NFT license, they can offer a streaming license, and they can offer a print license. So you can just not offer a print license on those. But yeah, we'll definitely look at giving artists guidance on AI tooling. What I don't think we should do is we should not auto do that for creators. In fact, our developers wanted to auto crop and all that. Like, nope, none of that is happening. Artists care deeply about their work, about where it's cropped, etc. And so artists are going to do that. We are going to enable them by providing the resources and say, go here. This tool will help you upscale your image, etc. But we will not do it as part of the workflow, just because I know it's convenient and all, but I want to set a very firm sort of position that we leave the artist in control of the artwork.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been isolating some of the. I also love. I'm not an artist, but I love to play with Photoshop and Illustrator for various things, and I've definitely used some of those AI tools that help like upscale photos and turn black and white into color, and some of them are really really good. And I think what would probably be best is if we had like a list of like, we like this one, like this one's better than this one's free, this one's not, and have like a guide for people to use in order to satisfy that requirement if that's something they're looking to do. But yeah, building it into what we do, yeah, like you said, it won't. Sometimes it might not work out where it's it doesn't look good. So yeah, no, I agree. So that's something that I should probably do. Start making a list of some of those. But we have a couple more. All right, so well done in Dubai, as it seems. My question is as the following: as you're confident in funding goal or exceeding, do you see us listing at a centralized exchange by 25 January at the latest?
Yeah. Yeah, I am no longer going to commit to hard dates of any kind, because there's so many variables. Getting listed on SX involves signing agreements with them doing the integration, etc., getting the liquidity in, etc. So our goal is to make January the month of Vitruveo. Essentially, we get a lot of these things that have been pending done, and our goal is also that before the year is up, to do the Nexus NFT drop. That's happening. As the funds come in and we reach the threshold where we say, okay, we've got enough now, where we can have a decent runway and we can have liquidity, we'll pull the trigger on that and get going on that. It's not like we're sitting around and waiting for that to happen before we do it. We're already in talks with exchanges, etc. So it's a matter of just executing on that last few steps. So our goal is to get everything done in January as much as possible, but it's going to be driven by how quickly the funds come in, etc. So, and I cannot govern or control the schedule that we have set up for meetings, for pitches, etc. So we're going to try and expedite as quickly as possible. But when it comes to fundraising, I know one thing is, you try and push things, and then the answer is no. So you don't want that. You want to go. It's like anything else. Well, if you want it that fast, then the answer is no. But if you go through the diligence process, etc., then things are fine.
Next question. Is there a limit to the percentage of DAO of treasury funds that you're willing to sell to investors?
I'm trying to understand this question.
I think what they mean is what we are setting aside for like the institutional accredited investors, the Saft agreement people, how much of that percentage is that of total? Because we brought it back from 40 to 20. What is their percentage, I guess?
Yeah. So look, our goal is we did this recent conversion around Vitruveo, etc., to reset the cap table and get it more to standards, right, and get more coins into the treasury to address one of the concerns that early investors raised about the fact that we don't have enough for follow-on capital, etc. So we definitely will not be depleting the current treasury completely. I'm thinking that our threshold is probably 50, maybe 60%, now, but keep more coins for future follow-on fundraisers, because we will have to do much larger fundraisers in the future.
So this person was asking about the calculator that you're working on. Do you have a timetable of when that will be available?
Yeah. So I had intended to finish it all here, but my schedule turned out to be way busier than I had imagined, which is a good thing because I meet a lot of people, etc. But at the same time, I was not able to deliver on that. So just plan on seeing these things happen next week. There's also one of the things that has risen to the top and actually highest in the priority list, even more than this, is the white paper. So been working on that and want to get that off. So today, if you go to the testnet explorer, you will see that there's been a new contract deployed for the swapper. So that's there now. Just want to get through last few tests on that, and then we can deploy the swapper v2. So get that deployed, get the white paper done, and then work on the calculator. That's the order of operations here. Right.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah. When will the swapper be ready? I mean, you gave me a little update on that a minute before we started.
So, yeah, as I just mentioned, you can go look on the testnet explorer right now. There's a new contract that just got deployed. So that has the validator swap feature. So I don't have to answer so many trouble tickets. It basically allows you to swap your validator to a different account without moving the coins associated with it. So then you have an account with just your validator and no coins. And that is what a lot of people wanted. And so we've done that now. And then it has the ability for you to choose your swap percentage, 0 to 100%, whatever you want it to be. And it makes a note in the contract of the fact that you have manually updated that, because for everyone who's manually updated it, the default will change. The default is 50%. And if you manually update it, it'll be a different number. So
this is a decent one. For the Saft agreement, will it fall under the same vesting schedule as Booster and the OG holders? The 18 months.
Yeah. So I would say roughly. What happens with a Saft agreement is you negotiate all the terms, right? So let's discuss what those terms are. And we don't want to vary too much. We don't have wild variations. But if someone's putting $1 million versus 100,000, you have the person putting $1 million has more leverage, right? And we can negotiate terms a little bit. So what are the terms? The terms are valuation. Pre-money valuation impacts the price. That's what drives the price. That's how you figure out the price. Then the lock period. So lock period is, how close are we going to be to industry standard versus vary by that. So 4 to 6 months is sort of the industry standard on that. In crypto, the vesting schedules, vary from like anywhere from 1 year to 4 years. 4 years being on the very high side because crypto, that's an eternity in crypto, and you will not have that. But if people want a steeper discount and are willing to hold longer, then yeah, they can get a longer vesting period. And then here's an important thing: is how in terms of the unlocked, is there a percentage that is initially fully unlocked? That is also a point of negotiation. So most of the investors that are institutional investors, they are not in it to flip it, right? They're going to hold on to it. So these terms are more about long term, and they vary from investor to investor, but they would roughly follow industry standards.
Okay, sorry, I was just answering a question in Discord. This one's interesting. I have 100K to invest, enough for a Saft agreement. So Saft agreement is for accredited investors. So, and I don't remember what the criteria 100% is.
Yeah. Typically, every investor that is signing a Saft is an accredited
So they have to be.
investor. Yeah. So in terms of 100K, you could just go to the booster page and buy a 100K super booster. That'll be much more quicker and efficient. And actually, there's one important thing here that's a difference between Saft agreement and super booster. So people signing the Saft agreement, they're not getting any revenue share. They're not getting any perk pools. They're not getting any bonus based upon the number of super boosters. I'm sorry, the total booster amount raised, etc. So if it might be advantageous to go get a super booster because you get a lot more benefits than institutional investors who just want, based on their firm's policies, want the Saft agreement. So I see one here that I can address. Can we swap the coins that are with the validator to another wallet, basically leaving the validator where it is? Yeah, so this is a good question. So right now, what you would do is basically you need to do this in like a 2-step or 3-step process, where when you swap out the validator, it's going to move your validator to another account, which I understand you don't want, and your coins are left in the one account. So then you would swap the coins out to another account, and then you would swap the validator back to the original account. So it's a three-step kind of process. But given how quick and easy it is, it's just clicking a few buttons. That would be how you would achieve that goal.
From our friend Crypto Matt. Hey, Nick and Zach, have you gone through the numbers assuming no one switches from VTRU to Vitruveo? How could we reduce the OG allocation? Because there are a lot of dead wallets, like a lot of people who have just forgotten about the project.
Yeah, we can't assume they're dead, right? Because they might come alive someday in the future. We can't just if no one switches from Vitru to Vitro, first of all, I don't think that's a scenario that is likely, because we really are making the Vitro thing sort of balanced thing with Vitru. I admit it might not be fully balanced, but we are trying to sort of keep them more or less in line. You're right. And so the scenarios that none of that happens is not feasible in my opinion. And no, we cannot just basically truncate, get rid of wallets that are inactive. So if they are inactive, then those are the wallets that would be the 50-50 automated kind of swap.
Yeah, I think they were more talking about like we're like forcing people to take the Vitro, I guess, I think is what they were saying, not necessarily get rid of the wallets, but yeah.
Yeah, and now, I mean, basically, we've given them an industry standard notice of 30 days. So there's 30 days where all this communication is happening. If someone has not responded within 30 days, it's likely that they are not paying attention to the project anymore.
Will we know the details of the Saft agreements, or will those be confidential?
Oh yeah, so typically after the round is done, then yeah, we'll have those all out there. It depends on the investors. We'll ask certain investors don't want their information in public, and so in that case, we won't do that. They want to keep. So sometimes in the Saft agreement, they write that the deal terms will be kept confidential because it is proprietary, right? From the investors, especially institutional investors, they don't want different startups, etc., going up against them, having negotiating leverage, knowing the details of other deals that they've made. So most often, the only deals that you'll see public are the ones where people don't have an issue with it. But in my experience, most people don't want deal terms to be public. So to the extent that people are fine with deal terms being public, we'll publish them. But for others, we may not do that.
In most of the situations that I've been in, that a lot of them are okay with publishing their names and like the total amount they invested, but not what they bought tokens for. And yeah, like the nitty gritty. Yep. Everyone wants to flex their new portfolio company, but they don't want to say how much they paid for them. So I would, he's saying Saft deal is much better than a super booster, and I would say where it's at currently, super booster, and because they have their own percentage of the pie, and since we haven't had that many super boosters, you'd be getting a much bigger part of the pie for revenue share. So I don't know if I would look into the super booster details a little bit more before you declare that. Though a Saft is very like straightforward and something maybe you're more used to, but yeah, just a food for thought. The same guy that asked about the 100K. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
When will we be able to specify what the allocations to Vitruveo will be? And that's going to be with Swapper 2.0, correct?
With the Swapper, yeah. And I apologize to everyone. I know I've been optimistic about how much work I can do and how fast I can do it, but with coding, you have to get in the zone and you get interrupted. You do a zoom here, zoom there, and it gets harder and harder. But yeah, it's the contract's done. That was the hard part, and now it's just need to make a couple of UI tweaks, and it's ready to go.
What will happen if the swap doesn't hit the target of 11 million back to the treasury? Will it hurt chances to get VC funding in this round?
Well, I mean, we have a certain projection, and I'm very confident about that projection. It's based upon analyzing all the wallets out there and what amounts they have, and what based on their bag size, I guess, whether they're likely to do it or not. So I feel like it might not be precisely 11 million. It might be 9 million. It might be 10 million. But we are reasonably within range there. The key thing is that the cap table has been sort of optimized for what people are looking for, industry standard. I just want to address in that vein also 2 points that keep coming up because people fundamentally misunderstand it, and I don't know if people are doing that intentionally. Maybe they are. This is not some VC saying, "Hey, change this," or "We will or will not invest." That's not how these things work. They're basically saying that, look, your cap table doesn't match an industry standard. We identify a problem. The problem is the sell pressure at month 7. And the second problem is there's no treasury coins for follow-on funding. You need to address those problems to make this deal a reasonably attractive deal. And so when you get that same feedback from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, not just prospective investors, but also exchange folks who look and go like, hey, you got a problem here. That's a red flag, right? So we can either ignore it or we can address it. And we chose to address it. So I feel that based upon the measures we've put in place, we will have the reasonable transfer of coins to the treasury, and therefore address the problems.
So this is more of a suggestion. I know we're talking about doing a demo for the next download after Christmas, but this user asked if we could do it in Discord, so we could have some interactive voice chat.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We'll plan for that, so then we can have some community participation as well. We could still record it, put it out on YouTube if we want to. We'll figure out how we could use StreamYard and have someone record their screen and send it to YouTube and have people participate. I like that. And the ones that we did for boosters were really fun.
Look, there are two kinds of users, right? There are people who have an agenda and who ask questions worded in a way to trip me up, or just to raise negative flags, etc. I don't really care for them. They can keep asking the questions. I'm not going to humor them. But then there are members of the community who are serious, who are asking genuine, authentic questions about the business, about the plan, about how we will grow, etc. I love those. I love those questions, and I will answer them all day, every day. So yeah, let's do the voice thing. People are welcome to ask honest, questions about the business. Happy to do that. Your
boy Gus, if you have a wallet with only a node with 3811 rebase, when the swap happens, is it based on the total, or is it based on the rebase amount only?
So with the nodes, there are two amounts. There is a lock amount. I don't remember. I think it was 1100 or something like that. And then there was a second amount, 2761, something like that. That is unlocked tokens. So you're free to move those unlocked tokens to any wallet you wish. And that is what the swap is based on. So if you say 50% of that, then it's 50% of 2761, whatever that is. Yeah, so I guess it is based upon the final rebased amount.
Yes, Garfield, you can sing at the Discord voice chat. We will welcome that, and I think everyone here can agree that we should open with that. A little intro music.
I would love that.
There's nothing more that I would want than to hear that. So Garfield, thank you. I will be holding you to it.
Yeah.
I think the NRK. When can we expect a marketing push from popular YouTubers? We don't want to front load that, right now. But as we get closer to the exchange and after Nexus, get through the holidays, we've been in conversations with some of the agencies that represent these guys. I know a bunch of them personally. They know who we are. Don't worry. And when it's the right time, it's best begging for your buck. What's going to be the most cost-effective message, call to action for people to actually see this outreach and be able to do something. Right now, we're building a lot of stuff. So I think that's an acceptable answer, wouldn't you say, Nick? Sorry, I just took it.
Yeah. Definitely. The holidays have really messed up a lot of things, because it affects things significantly. Ability to get people's attention, ability to make sure your message doesn't get drowned out among a lot of other things, etc. So I am very much looking forward to January, where we can not only start checking off a lot of boxes in terms of product features and things like that, but also we've reached this point now where we were just sort of the crypto investors kind of circle, right? But now we've introduced the artists. So now this whole block, the narrative, the key narrative of what Vitruveo is doing from an investor standpoint is we are aligning the incentives of crypto investors and artists. This is something that no one has ever done before, and which is what I believe is going to be a big driver for our success. Throughout history, art has been sort of the purview of the wealthy, and artists have had to rely on them to donate money through foundations directly, etc., to survive. But now we've created a model with Vitruveo that is unique, in that artists create art, they sell the art, they make money, and because they're selling art on the protocol gets used, the protocol's currency gets used, it becomes more valuable, and the crypto investors make money. So this is a virtuous circle, and it is what is going to catalyze our growth. And I'm very excited about that. So yeah.
I think we're about done. Let's see, am I missing anything?
There was one nugget of information in my last update, which I don't know if people paid attention to, is looked at and did an analysis of the sort of top wallets, and now we have a new top wallet. So
yeah, we do have a new top wallet.
Yeah.
Yep, it's no longer the man that shall not be named, Voldemort. So yeah, I think let's see. This is an interesting question. I have a friend who's 100% a newbie. She wants to invest 1K to 3K. Is there a way to create a Fiat on-ramp to support this?
Yeah, so the reason we incorporate in crypto-friendly countries, the reason why we have certain ways in which you can invest with stable coins, etc., is because the moment you get into fiat, you get into regulatory agencies and things like that. And you don't want to run afoul of the law. We want to do everything in a legal manner. So everything we're doing right now is in a legal manner. But if you look at the agreements for most credit card providers, etc., it specifically specifically disallows you from using their service for these kinds of situations. So we would then, first of all, we would be breaking their terms of service, which we don't want to do. And secondly, if for whatever reason, if you do decide to do that, I wouldn't, but if you do, you risk being locked anytime and your funds being frozen. So we don't want any of those things. Those are all bad things. So whatever we do, we're going to do it legally. We're going to do it in a way where we follow the regulatory agencies and we follow all the legal requirements. And so this is something that it would be great. We could do it, but we don't have the legal infrastructure for it.
Let's see. I don't want a lot for Christmas, but Zach and Nick is all I need. Thank you, Bender. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Zach, we should, what is the latest update on the BTC? Can you please give that? Because I know we've delayed that a while. And last time you said that only 6 or 8 people had responded, right?
Yeah, we're going
to
do more. And I'm updating that Genesis list. If you have done the signing transactions, that they're there. Same thing with the Gleam winners. I have all the Gleam winners done with the right allocated prices. I have all of that stuff. So when you want to push that to the swapper contract, just let me know. Maybe we meet and we go through all the different stuff that I have. I think primarily people are talking about the ETH sacrifices from Bitcoin.
But those are done. Those are included. The ETH was never a problem. Yeah, and if someone feels that they're not represented, then I would definitely like to know about that. Because everything that was smart contract was automated, and we have all that data. It was only the BTC, because there was no smart contract, that there was an issue.
Cool. So for those who are out there and you feel like it hasn't been allocated properly, if you have a support ticket or if you haven't started one, start one, and we'll flag those and we'll look into them.
Yeah. It just occurred to me that Fur's out, and I didn't. I wanted to have her on, but it was a big moment for us. The first artworks from Vitruveo Genesis artists appeared on Times Square today. So
that
was huge.
Well, yesterday at 3:02 p.m. was the first
yesterday,
one.
I guess. Yeah.
3 and Fowler, Senate member Fowler, was one of the ones that was on there for the first. That was the first one that I noticed. Yes.
Yep. So I'm really excited about that because artists, yes, artists need money, they need sales, etc. But the other things that most artists love, respect, and want is recognition. They just want the world to see and appreciate their art, and to be on a big giant screen there in Times Square and have the world see your art is pretty amazing, especially if you are an artist who, because of the way the system is set up right now, would otherwise never have the opportunity to have your art be shown to a worldwide audience, even on the web, let alone at Times Square or whatever. So yeah, so it's we are now setting the stage for some very exciting things in the alpha, the VTRU Studio alpha. We are including a stream license, and we do have the query engine built, so you can query by metadata. So one of the things that we'll be gearing up to build very quickly is an art stream, and showing art streams in different places, etc., where with the artist's consent, of course. So people can get a feel for what is possible, that is to date impossible. So we've made things possible through our streaming protocol.
This will be the last question. Kelly's asking, is there a way so we can do some translated announcements, and maybe downloads as well?
Yeah, so one of the things that Zach and I have talked about is we are going to improve the Discord communication, thanks to Mike Purdy's suggestion, where we're going to have like a channel, which is when someone just comes into Discord right away, they've been gone a week, they haven't had a chance to look at everything, etc. It'll be an immediate, here is a current snapshot of everything, and here are the top questions and the answers to them. And I feel like that would be perfect to then also get translated. So instead of the minutiae of a download or something, because even the download, like right now I'm talking, right? If someone's coming in for the first time to this project, there's a lot of things that I mentioned that they would be like, what is he talking about? So we need context. And so I feel like having a dedicated channel with here's everything you need to know about this project, and then having that translated, I love that suggestion, would be the way to go. So we'll be working on that and get that executed and up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I don't think we can get dubs though. I don't think we can get some voice actors to dub these videos, but we could definitely pull the transcript, throw them through a translator, and upload the subtitles.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could definitely do that. I think we're done. I think we got a good bunch of good questions, and we're gonna, if we didn't get to your question or I overlooked it, bring the question and ask it yourself next week when we meet after Christmas.
At the live, at the Discord.
The live in Discord. So we'll figure out what date that is. I mean, I'll be back on the 26th, so it's just an in and out for me. I'll be back home and in seat. So if you want to do it the 26th, 27th, just let me know. We'll get it all scheduled out, and we'll have a fun little open some Christmas gifts live on air.
Yep. So my priority is to get the Swapper 2.0 launched. It is a big deal, and the white paper. So those are the things I'm focused on, even as I wrap up the trip here and journey back home. And then after that, we'll get the calculator and other things going.
Well, it's gonna be like 24 hours of sleep too, like some good sleep to reset, because you definitely need it, my man.
We'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, guys, things are progressing according to plan, as well as they could be at this point. I'm very, very optimistic about our January. We've laid the groundwork, the rails even, for this thing to take off. So yeah, we just keep moving forward, and what you'll see is an acceleration. When you start seeing more product, etc., people get excited about it. Investors, artists, etc. They start seeing very tangibly what is just slides until now. So even like the size guide I showed you, there's a bunch of numbers on there. Like people go, oh, whatever. But then you have an upload button, and you have a crop tool that forces that size, now it's become tangible, and we have that
Yeah,
code.
absolutely.
So yeah, so it's very, very exciting. So thank you all. Happy holidays. If I don't talk to you before then, but I will be doing some minor updates in the next few days. And continue. Tomorrow is still a work day. There's a whole Saturday. I have three meetings already set up. So
We have the metaverse tomorrow too.
Yeah,
The
that's
metaverse
true.
celebrations tomorrow as well.
Yep. So thanks everyone, and have a good morning, evening.